because I was looking at the league MVP projections because the reason why I'm bringing this up is because the Celtics play tonight, and it was a direct challenge. Am I at a line to ask Jayson Tatum, yo, why can't you win the league MVP this year? Because I watched Derrick Rose. I watched Derrick Rose get in front of the camera and say, why can't I win the league MVP? So you on the best team in the best, you're the best player on the best team in the league. Why can't you win the league MVP this year?
You talking about Jayson Tatum?
Yeah. Why can't he do it?
Sure, I actually don't think that's crazy.
I ain't about to start hating. So,
Morris, here's the thing, though.
It's not hating, Mars. It's not hating, Mars. It's legit logic from you. Why can't I win the league MVP this year?
He's not good enough. He's not good enough.
Okay,
so
really?
Now, when you say I'm very interested to have this conversation, Mars. When you say good enough, what do you mean good enough? Does that mean that the best player in the league? Does that mean the best player on the championship team? What do you mean he's not good enough?
I mean, he's not good enough at basketball to be the MVP of the NBA.
Really?
So who was good enough at basketball? So the person who won the league MVP, he was better at basketball than the other guy who didn't win it?
No, I just think you have to be within reason. I just don't think he's within reason of Jokic, Embiid, Giannis. I just don't think he's close enough to them to where him winning an MVP because his team wins more games is going to be valid. I don't think people are going to accept that. I don't think voters are going to pick him. I just don't. I think the way the MVP has changed 10, 12 years ago, I think if Boston wins 65, 66 games, Jayson Tatum could win it. But the way now they've gone more towards the individual than the team, I just don't think he's a good enough player to where they're going to justify giving him the MVP because he wins 8 more games than another team. I just don't think they're going to do that.
So because he's not in that tier of player, because when I think about the players, so when I think about the players that have won the league MVP over the last, I don't know, let's just say 5 years. So it's Giannis, Joker, and Joel Embiid. These are the guys who.
Those are the last 5. That's the last 5 MVPs. Yeah, Embiid not winning. He's going to play 65 games, but those are the last 5 MVPs.
These are the last 5 MVPs. Now, with these being the last 5 MVPs, you can argue. I think Joker's the best player in the league. Right. So the fact that he won the league MVP, I think I don't think that just because he won the league MVP, he was the best player. I still think he was the best player in the league. That just compounded it, the fact that he won it. Okay. Joel Embiid, when he won the league MVP, was he the best player in the game? I'm not going to go as far as to say he was the best player in the game because I don't think he was better than Joker, but I think he was that caliber of player. I don't think that Jayson Tatum is in the category with Joker. I don't think he's in that category with Giannis yet. I don't think so. However, what I do think,
is it because his team isn't as? Is it because Giannis' team isn't as good as the Celtics? Is that why you like saying?
No,
that?
I just don't think Jayson Tatum is as good a player as Giannis. I think that Jayson Tatum is a fantastic player. I just don't think he's as good as Giannis. And that's not a slight to Jayson Tatum. I just think Giannis is a better player. I think he's on a different tier than Jayson Tatum. However, I have seen, and to your point, Mars, yes, in the past, I have seen players who've won the league MVP being the best player on the best team, and they're not in the tier with other guys. However, when I look at what Luka did, when he averaged 35 and almost 10 and 10 last year, he's in that tier of player, but he didn't win the league MVP or sniff it, as opposed to what Joker did, which was less than. And the same logic with SGA, who finished second. I mean, I think Jayson Tatum is better than him. I don't look at SGA as a player that he's in a different tier than Jayson Tatum. I think Jayson Tatum is better than him.
They're in the same tier,
yeah,
for sure.
But in my estimation, I think he's better than him. So for SGA to win the league MVP,
Ron, why are you looking like that?
We're not trying to hate today. We're not trying to hate.
Nah, Morris. It's officially a new calendar year. It's a new year. It's a new day. It's a new season, and it's a new sheriff in town. And it's not Jayson Tatum. Chill. If you would have asked this question,
can
SGA win MVP? Everybody in the chat would have said yes, definitely, absolutely. I believe he can win MVP. Right. Chill. You would have said yes. Jordan, you would have said yes. Mars would have said I haven't actually won an MVP.
Last year.
And I would have just nodded my head. Swiper would come up here and say that. Ox would come up here and say that. Ticket to come up here and say that. Dub would come back from the open gym graveyard and say that as well. Everybody would say SGA can win MVP on a team that's going to win less games than the Celtics. All of us haven't projected to do that. So why can he do it, but Jayson Tatum can't do it?
Right. Exactly.
Why is it the case?
Right. Why is that?
Are we going to say it's because Jayson Tatum's a dad?
No, that's
No,
not
we're
the
not gonna
problem.
say that.
No.
So
Yeah,
why
don't
is
do
it
that.
why
Don't
is
do
it the
that,
case?
Ron.
Can you
Don't do
guys
that,
please
Ron.
explain that to me? Because here's the thing: Jayson Tatum averaged 32 years ago. Obviously, they do have a better team, but we believe
And he wasn't in the. And by the
That's
way, Ron,
why,
he wasn't in the
though. That's why,
conversation
though,
with his.
Ron.
hold on, no,
SG.
check it out though. What I'm saying is he's done it before.
Yep.
He can. It's a chance he can do it again.
Facts.
We know SGA is going to average 30 this year.
No.
So I'm
we
saying
don't know
if
that.
they both can hit that 30 clip, why can one of them do it, but the other person can't?
There's no reason why. And to Mars's point, when you talk about being that caliber of player, your stance is because in the past they've given it to lesser guys who weren't on that tier. The reason why I have a difficult time with that is because then why haven't they given it to other guys who were on the other tier? Like, I don't know how much more Luka could possibly do to not be the lead. I don't know what else he could have done. Why hasn't he won the league MVP?
The narrative
Because
would change
his
for
numbers-
Luka Doncic too. If Luka Doncic had a team like Jayson Tatum and he did what Jayson Tatum, he would win the MVP too. The narrative would change for certain people, and that's how the MVP has always been. It always changes for certain people. So I don't know. Chill, you asking a legit question about why this and why that, but the Tatum one, I'm curious to know what Mars think. Why, like, where does Tatum have to be statistically and team wise in order for him to win MVP? That's what I want to know.
I don't know what stats he needs to put out. I just think he has to be close to the level of the guys who are better than him.
Jokic is the only one that's going. Jokic and SGA is the only two that's going to be up there this year. I think maybe Giannis if Giannis plays.
Yeah, Giannis too. But I just think they're just better than him. I'm not. He could put up 28 if he's the same guy he was last year. I'm gonna say the same thing. It's not about the numbers to me. I just don't think they're gonna give an MVP to someone who's inferior to these other players because his team won more games. That's all. That's my opinion. I mean,
with his numbers too, though. I don't know, man.
I might be wrong. I'm not going to be here protesting if Jayson Tatum wins an MVP. I'm gonna be wrong. I just don't think we're at a point anymore with how they've changed how they value things. I just don't think we're at a point where they're going to give an MVP to someone who's inferior because his team won more games. I just don't think that's going to happen anymore.
So if that's true, then what's the story with Jaylen Brunson finishing ahead of Jayson Tatum in league MVP votes? Because I think Jaylen Brunson also is another player who is inferior to Jayson Tatum. I don't think he's better than Jayson Tatum, but
Jaylen Brunson will never win.
Are we sure about that? So if the Knicks would have won 60,
I'm confident Jaylen.
This is what I'm asking you, because like you just said, Mars, if we look at the tier of players over the last 5 years, it's been Joker, it's been Lee, it's been Joker, it's been Joel Embiid, and it's been Giannis over the last 5 years, right? So over the last 5 years, those players are arguably the best players in the game. However, if Jaylen Brunson and this New York Knicks team end up winning, I don't know, let's say they win 58 games, 60 games, and he's the best player on that crew, and it's largely due to him with the New York media, with the narrative that they have in New York. Is it unrealistic for me to think that Jaylen Brunson couldn't win the league MVP? There was conversations about it last year. Not only was it conversations about it last year, there was also conversation about Ja Morant. Not to say that he was going to win it, that he could win it. So with that being said, that tier of player, we've seen lesser players who aren't on that tier win the league MVP. I understand what your logic is, Mars. The idea that you're not on that tier, you're not as good a player. So I don't think that that's what the case is. I think the case is more, how valuable are you to your crew? You being a great player matters. I won't argue that, Mars. That part I won't argue. But how valuable are you to your crew? Winning matters. Jayson Tatum, why can't you win the league MVP if SGA, who I think is an inferior player to you, not by much, but I think he's an inferior player to you, why can he win it? Because I don't think he's on the same level with Joker. I don't think he's in that conversation with Giannis. I don't think he's that good. So why can he win it and Jayson Tatum can't win it?
I think the Shea point is interesting. I think is hearing talk about. I think Shea is probably closer to Tatum than he is to the Jokic's of the world. And
facts. That's what I was saying. It's the same
to
me.
Yeah, I'm comfortable saying Shea's better than Tatum, but I'm also comfortable saying Jokic and them are better than him. So I can understand. Maybe Shea might not win it. I'm more comfortable saying Shea won't win it than I am saying Jayson Tatum will. But I mean, it's possible. I highly doubt with the way the precedent seems to be going. The last time a less than player won the MVP was Derrick Rose. everyone else has been one of the best players on the planet easily. And that's not me saying Derrick Rose wasn't great. I'm just saying post Derrick Rose is LeBron, KD, Steph, Russ, Harden, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid. Like those are like top 5 players on the planet, undisputed top 3 players on the planet for the most part. Like I just think they're going in the direction of you have to be one of those S tier players in the NBA. And while I don't think Jayson Tatum is that, I don't think he's going to win it. But it's definitely possible that Jayson Tatum will win it. But you asked why wouldn't he? That's the reason I think he wouldn't.
Sure, that's fair enough. Because and I know we got to move. I know we got to move on, Ron. But there, you can have a conversation about 5 players during that time when Derrick Rose won the league MVP that are better than him. We can have a legit conversation. But I can bless you. But I can also, like you said, lesser player. I can also talk about, was Russell Westbrook a top 5 player in 2016, 2017?
I'd need to hear the 5 names you think are better than.
So James,
it was borderline.
So James, when I think about 2017, so on James,
LeBron James, right?
Yeah. James.
Okay.
Harden.
Okay.
KD.
Okay.
Steph Curry.
Okay. What are you gonna say, Kawhi?
I was gonna say Kawhi Leonard. Yes.
No, not in 2016. That's Mr. Triple Double.
I can see it.
No, 17.
2016, 17. I can see a world where Russ wasn't top 5. I also think his MVP is such an outlier historically that maybe he can be the exception to the rule. I don't think Jayson Tatum is going to fit that bill. But I would definitely have the conversation that Russell Westbrook wasn't top 5. I would have the conversation that he is and that he isn't. I don't think either one is crazy to say. If I was, I think the consensus would be he was top 5. I think that's what the consensus would be. But I can definitely see how he wouldn't be. I just think he's such a historical outlier that I don't think Jayson Tatum would apply.
See, Mars, I actually disagree with you. And I get what you're saying, but remember we talked about this in our MVP episode where we talked about what's your criteria. They don't just outline, okay, these are the 3 best players in the league. These 3 players have to get it. Even though it kind of has seemed like it's went that way because the 3 players have just been putting up buku stats, Giannis, Jokic, Embiid. But I actually think, and I kind of did this in my MVP list, I believe that this year it's going to change. And I think we're going to see a first-time MVP this year. And I think it's going to be one of these younger guys. Luka, Ant potentially, Ja if they win enough games, Jaylen Brunson if they win enough games, Jayson Tatum if they win enough games. Obviously,
Jalen Green if we win enough games. Yeah.
I mean, hey, look.
It
is. Hey, Joy.
If they finish at the top of the West, Jalen Green or Sengun, they have a horse in that race. But I think one of these teams, and either they're going to finish at the top of the West. SGA, they're going to finish at the top. Obviously, we're expecting the Celtics to finish at the top
of the East.
But even if the Knicks do it and Jalen Brunson does a carry job similar to last year, I think it would trend back in that direction of winning just because there's so many good teams in the league. And these guys are the clear head of those teams. They're young. And obviously, the league is turning in a new direction. Bron's on his way out the door. KD's on his way out the door. Steph's on his way out the door. James Harden's on his way out the door. Kawhi, all of these guys. So now we've been talking about it heavily. Who's going to be the new face of the league? Who's going to be the new face of the league? It's been a lot of whispers and murmurs. I think this is a perfect chance for the NBA to now pass the torch to some of these younger guys. And on top of that, these guys are all going to put up stats. They're all leading their teams, and they're all on winning teams. So I think somebody in the West, one of these younger guys, if they win, I think they're going to have a major shot at winning it. Tatum, on the other hand, Chill, to answer your question, I do believe he can do it, but he's going to have to do something astronomical. Which,
see, that's the problem, Ron. Like when you say, that's what I'm saying. Like, what's astronomical? Because, like I said, I just saw Luka go 30, almost 35, 10 and 10, and he didn't win it.
So it's two things, and then the Luka thing, they just didn't win enough. And remember, I said what one of my criteria is. I think they have to be at the top of the West.
Sure.
So I think SGA and
what was Dallas? Fifth, fourth, or fifth? Fifth. They were
fifth. Yeah.
Keep going.
But
I'm listening.
As for Tatum, though, it's one of two things. Either he has to average 30 plus, and might even have to get a double-double. So he might have to average 30 and 10. He might have to do that. which for
Mars, I'm
him would
having
be
a difficult
astronomical.
time, Mars. I am having a difficult time if Jayson Tatum is 30-10 and the Boston Celtics win 65 games. He ain't the league MVP. I'm having
It's
a
gonna be
difficult
tough,
time
Mars.
with that, Mars.
It's gonna
I
be
am
tough.
having a
Well,
really
so them
difficult
10
time.
rebounds gonna be the difference between him and the MVP.
I wouldn't, Mars. I'd be surprised if that dude was 30-10. If he was 30-10-5 and the Boston Celtics won 65 plus games, that he wasn't the league MVP. I'd be
So
Mars,
really
he
surprised.
runs away with
I
that.
don't think Tatum gonna get 10 rebounds a game.
So if he gets 9 rebounds a game, he's not the MVP.
One more time.
What if he's 39-5? Is that enough to be the MVP?
And they win 65 plus games.
It was 64.
He could definitely win it. He could definitely win it.
I believe he could do it with that.
Yeah,
he
could
could. I
definitely
just
win
doubt
it.
he would. I mean,
Yeah.
he could
I
definitely.
mean,
his
I don't
stand-
know, man. It's just, the
and-
narrative is just crazy to me.
Well, Mars' stance is that he's not in that tier of player, and his argument is because of the last 5 years of what we have. What we have was Joel Embiid and Giannis and Joker. I can appreciate that logic, but what we can't do is we can't discount winning. We can't discount that stuff. And don't get
But
me
that's
wrong,
what they
Denver-
seem like we've been doing.
No, we haven't, because the Denver Nuggets, I think they
The
finished tied
Celtics
for
are
first.
just better than them. The Celtics are just better than these teams. That doesn't mean Jason.
That's what I said.
Tatum-
But
But
that's
Jason
what I
Tatum
was
has a lot to
saying
do
earlier.
with that, though, Mars.
That's
That's
what I was saying earlier,
I'm
though,
not
Mark.
saying Jason Tatum isn't impactful. I'm saying the Celtics are just better than the Bucks, the Nuggets, the Sixers, whoever you want to say.
Yeah, they're pretty much better than every team in the NBA, pretty much.
So Jason Tatum is clearly playing worse than Jokic and Giannis and Embiid in the regular season and Luka and all of these guys. So he's going to get an MVP playing worse than them because his team's better. I just don't think the voters are going to go with that. And that's not me saying he's only winning. That's not me saying his team is good despite him. He's still their best player, and he's still, in my opinion, the most impactful player on that team. But if he's clearly playing worse than the other guys, that means he would only be winning the MVP because what's around him is better. And I don't think the voters do that anymore.
I don't know, man. I gave up on that when James Harden got robbed out a few MVPs, man.
Mars think he should have won it 3 straight years.
Yeah, James
I
Harden.
thought he should have too, but that's what
Mars thought he should have
That's
won
what
it.
I'm saying. But it's like everything changes, though. That's what I'm saying. These narrative changes, and it's like it's so hard to keep up with them when it comes down to what is going to be the criteria. But just like Ron said, it's a new face coming in, so maybe they changed the criteria this year. So,
Yo, I really can see
know.
one
That
of
shit
these
is
young
hard,
bucks
though.
getting it. I'm telling y'all, I really can see. I mean, Chill, I know you're not too much a fan of voter fatigue, but like, how many times can they give it to Jokic, even when he earns it?
I don't think he's winning it again. I don't.
And they're not going to be that
If
good
the
this
Nuggets
year.
win 60 games, Jokic ain't the MVP.
That's different.
Nope.
But they're not winning 60 games.
No.
But that's my point. Everyone
Okay,
seems to be low on the Nuggets. They lost KCP. MPJ is apparently not that good. They just re-signed Aaron Gordon for crazy amounts of money. Shout out to him. If no one believes the Nuggets are going to be good, and they end up being the 1 seed, winning 60 games, is he not the MVP?
Yeah, he is 100%. Give him his 4th.
Mm-mm.
But I think the same goes for Giannis. The same goes for, can't necessarily say Embiid, but the same goes for Giannis and Jokic. If they do that, kudos. But Morris, to your point with the Celtics and Jayson Tatum, we talked about winning, right? And you said that we all expect the Celtics to win that game, that amount of games.
Mm-hmm.
So Jayson Tatum actually has something that's not in his favor with his team being so good. And that's why I was saying for them to win 60 games, it's not enough. When I said he has to do something astronomical statistically wise, I said 30-10, some around that ballpark. But in terms of them winning, they have to win, I think, like 66 plus games.